Hey, it's Jared. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick start guide on how to use your Sony a7 IV. I've been a Sony shooter for over a decade, and I'm super excited to have the a7 IV in my hands. And over the years, through the variations of this camera, I've produced quick start guides to help people learn how to use the basic functionality of their camera. By the end of this video, you'll understand the basic features and functions of the camera, but if you want a more in-depth look at all of the camera features, including the menu itself, you'll want to check out the in-depth quick start guide that I've got linked down in the description below. So let's first take a look at the top of the camera. It's very easy to turn your camera on and off. The switch right here is right around the shutter button. So let's go ahead and power the camera on. We then have our mode dial here, which is a pretty simple mode dial. We're in manual mode right now, but we can toggle this into shutter priority, aperture priority, program mode, automatic mode, or we have 3 custom settings modes here that can be used to save settings profiles to the camera and easily switch between those. So these would be useful for setting specific settings for shooting portraits, maybe shooting long exposure photography, and then maybe use the third one for some video specific settings. We also have our record button, custom button. We have a toggle here for our shutter speed, and then we have a lockable toggle that by default is set to exposure compensation. Now, when you're in manual mode, you have access to a lot more buttons and features on the camera. If we're in automatic mode, a lot of these toggles, like this toggle here that would adjust our aperture, this toggle here that typically would adjust our shutter speed, and our ISO adjustment on the back are not going to work because we're telling the camera to go ahead and do all of those settings for us. When we're in automatic mode, the camera is going to figure out the shutter speed, the aperture, the ISO, the white balance, and it's going to control all of that automatically. This is great if you're just getting started. I highly recommend shooting in automatic mode, but if you want to learn manual mode, which means learning how shutter speed, aperture, and ISO work all together to get you not only a great exposed image, but also the look that you're going for, such as being able to control the depth of field, you can check out my free Ditch Auto course, which teaches you manual mode, and that's also linked down in the description. Below the mode dial, we can also change from photo mode to video mode, and then S and Q, which is slow and quick mode, for shooting slow or quick motion video. Now, when you're in photo mode, you can easily start and stop recording. You don't have to go into video mode for that. Now, you can start and stop recording even when you're in photo mode, but you'll notice that on the back of the camera in photo mode, we're seeing mostly photo-centric features. And if I switch into video mode, then we have some video-centric features such as our audio levels up in the top left-hand corner. So if you're planning on shooting video, it's best to switch into video mode so that you can see your audio meters, you can see which resolution you're shooting at, how much time is remaining on the card for shooting video. But it's great to be able to just start shooting a video, because if you're shooting photos and there's a moment that's unfolding in front of you, don't worry about going into video mode, just hit that record button and start shooting a video clip. Moving to the back of the camera, we have our menu button here on the left that allows us to toggle through our menu. If you are in automatic mode, there's going to be a lot less menu options available to you. A lot of them will be grayed out, or you'll get a message that you can't use that menu item when you're in automatic mode, and that you might have to be in manual mode or one of the other manual assist modes like shutter or aperture priority. So you also have 2 custom buttons on the back of the camera. We've got custom 1. There, custom 2 is on top of the camera, and we have custom 3. When in manual mode, our custom 1 button will take us to control our white balance. Our custom 3 button will take us into focus modes, and our custom 2 button will take us into our focus area selection. And then of course we can toggle between these different options by using the D-pad or using the dial as well. There's multiple ways to get to some of these camera settings. We also have an AF on button, which when pressed down will enable autofocus. So if you're in single shot mode, which means that it's only going to autofocus when you press down the shutter partially, and then autofocus is enabled. The AF on button also allows us to zoom into images, and so if we are in the image preview option, we can press that button to zoom in and then rotate the dial to zoom in and zoom out of our images. And then of course we also have the ability to pinch and zoom, so we don't even need to use those options if we don't want to. the back of the camera is just as responsive as a smartphone. If we press the function button, we get a quick access menu that makes it really easy for us to jump between some different options here. We can toggle through using the D-pad. Of course, we can use the dial on the back of the camera as well to change our creative look, our metering mode, turn steady shot on or off, change our recognized target from a person to auto or animal, bird, or any of these other options that are available, which is absolutely fantastic. And there are several other quick access settings that we can get to from the function button. When we are in image playback, we can also hit that function button to get access to a variety of different settings as well. Now, the dial on the back of the camera has multiple features. If we press up towards the top, we could change our display modes. If we press over to the left-hand side, we can choose our drive mode from single shooting to continuous, or set a timer, or shoot bracketed. And if we press over to the right, we can adjust our ISO, but of course you have to be in manual mode in order to do that. When you're in a shooting mode, the trash can is the custom 4 button, which by default is set to turn touch operation on or off. If you're constantly accidentally tapping the back of your camera and changing something, you can simply turn that off temporarily by hitting the custom 4 button. Of course, when you're in the preview mode, looking at some of your images, that becomes the trash can icon, so be careful. Now let's take a look at the card slots on the side of the camera. If we open up the door, we have 2 card slots here. Both of them accept SD cards, and that's what I'm running in the camera right now, is a V90 rated 128 gigabyte SD card. This card is fast enough to do everything that the camera has features for. So shooting at the highest continuous shooting, shooting higher resolution video with a higher frame rate, a V90 card will be fast enough for you to do all of those things, and I'll link to the V90 cards that I use down in the description below. Both of these card slots are SD card slots, but the slot number 1 can also use a CF Express Type A card. A CF Express Type A card has faster read and write speeds than an SD card, and so not only will the camera have a faster ability to write data to that card, but then when you take that CF Express Type A card and plug it into your computer, offloading everything from that card is going to be much faster than if you're using even the fastest SD cards. So if you have some extra budget, a CF Express Type A card is definitely beneficial, and I'll link to the ones that I use in the description below. On the opposite side of the camera, we have a variety of doors. If we open the large one on the left here, we have our HDMI port. This is a full-size HDMI port that can be used for plugging into a monitor or a television for previewing images or video that we've shot. We can also use it as a larger screen for previewing images and video that we're shooting. Instead of using the screen on the back, a much bigger screen can be attached to the camera or linked up to the camera using the HDMI port that just makes it easier for us to see everything. The top port door here can be opened up, and this gives us access to a microphone jack. So this microphone jack will allow us to connect an external microphone to the top of the camera, or we can use a wireless microphone setup, such as a wireless Rode mic, which can be attached to the hot shoe here, and then the small cable going right into the camera using that microphone jack. Then below that, we have access to our headphone jack for monitoring. So if you are recording video with your camera, it's really good to plug in a set of headphones that are isolated to the camera so that you can make sure that your audio sounds good and that the audio levels are set correctly in the camera. The last door on the bottom has 2 USB Type-C ports here, which is great because one can be connected to a computer for something like live streaming or copying of files off of your camera, and the other one can be used for charging the camera. Having 2 USB-C ports on the camera is a complete game changer for those of us that are using our cameras for long periods of time and might run into battery issues. The display on the back of the camera is not only tilt, but also flip out. And so we can tilt out the display for full articulation up and down, and then rotate that display out and control the display at pretty much any angle that we want. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, we can then fold the display in, and with the display facing inward towards the camera, it protects our display from any scratches or abrasive materials that would come up against the camera. I highly recommend closing your display when you put your camera into the camera bag. We have our battery door which makes it really easy for us to change out the battery. We also can remove the battery door here by just sliding on the little tab and removing the battery door, which allows us to attach an extension grip to the bottom of the camera, which allows for more shooting flexibility if you shoot a lot in portrait landscape, as well as the opportunity to add a second battery for extended range. Now let's look at the lens. Depending on what lens you're using, there might be different features available to that lens. I primarily shoot with Sony G Master lenses. These are the highest end lenses that Sony offers. Some of these lenses have more features than others, and even aftermarket lenses like from Sigma, Tamron, and the like have their own specific features. This particular lens does not have any zoom. It is a prime lens, which means it is 35 millimeters only. I have control for the aperture here on the lens, so I can manually control that on the lens. Of course, I can control that from the camera if I leave it in this automatic setting. And this lens has a click option, so when in this mode and I rotate this ring, it goes into each little stop and snaps into those positions. If I declick the lens by switching this to off, it doesn't stop along the way and allows me to smoothly adjust the aperture as I see fit. This is a great feature for video shooting because it allows you to adjust your exposure. We then also have our focus ring on the lens, which by default, if you're in autofocus mode, is not going to do anything because your camera is automatically focusing for you. If you switch this lens into manual focus mode, then controlling focus will happen with this ring manually. If you press down the shutter a little bit, the camera will not try to focus for you. It will only change focus when you adjust the focus ring. Some of these lenses also have an additional button on the side of the camera, which by default is going to lock your focus. So when your camera is focused on a subject, you can then press in this button on the side. It's going to lock autofocus, so that way your camera doesn't try to focus on anything else. This is a useful feature if you have your camera focused and you're waiting for some sort of action to take place. Alternatively, you can program this button to do other things if that's a feature that isn't useful for you. Now let's take a look at the camera's menu. As I mentioned before, if you're in automatic mode, a lot of options are going to be grayed out or not available in the back of your camera. So when we press menu, we're in our shooting mode, and I use the D-pad when controlling my menu, and I'll just toggle over to image quality and record quality. You can see I have my JPEG and HEIF switch here, which allows me to switch between the type of file that my camera is saving. JPEG is widely acceptable, even on older technologies, older computers and stuff like that. HEIF is a more higher efficiency file, which means it's going to have the same, if not better quality than the JPEG at a smaller file size. So if your computer or your other devices support this file type, you can choose between two different options here, 420 or 422, 422 being the higher quality image. I can toggle down to image quality settings and choose which type of file I want and where I want it saved. So under file format, I could choose to shoot RAW plus JPEG, or just JPEG images, or the HEIF, of course, if you had that option selected. Now, RAW files are a much bigger file with a lot more data, but it's not as flexible of a file as the JPEG images are. JPEG images can be taken right off the camera and shared on social media, sent to someone in an email, viewable on your smartphone. A RAW image is going to have to be processed in something like Adobe Lightroom or an application that supports it. I shoot RAW files because I want the most image data so that I can make adjustments to exposure, white balance, noise reduction, and all of that, and have much more latitude for working with those images than if the image was already compressed in the camera using one of the other modes. We have the ability to shoot just RAW images or RAW plus JPEG. And being that we have dual card slots in here, we have redundancy built into the camera. So that way, if something happens to one of our cards, we have a backup card that the files can be recorded to as well. Or you can split the RAW images going to one card and JPEGs going to the other. Or if you're like me and you no longer have a use for JPEG images, you can just shoot RAW only. If we toggle down one, we can choose how much compression we want, either lossless, compressed HQ, or compressed. And then if we had JPEG selected, we would have our JPEG quality and image size available there as well. If we toggle all the way down to record media settings, this allows us to set where we want those files going on each of the cards. Do we want our images going to card 1 and our video files going to card 2? Do we want RAW images only going to card 1 and JPEGs going to card 2? You can customize all of that in this menu. Now, if we go back to our shooting menu and go down to file format, we can control our different file formats here from XAVC HS4K all the way down to HD. So essentially, this is the resolution that you're shooting in, whether you want HD or 4K, and also the compression of that file file as well. I tend to shoot an XAVCS 4K, and then I'll go down to movie settings, and I can choose my frame rate. And in this option, I have 24, 30, 60, or 120 frames per second that I could choose from. And then if I go down to record settings, I'll go all the way up to 148 megabytes per second at 422 10-bit, which is the best quality and most flexible video file that you can get out of this camera. Another thing I always do in camera is format my cards. So I can toggle back to the menu, go to media, and then under format, I can format the cards one at a time from slot 1 and slot 2. Now, I always make sure that I back up my cards to my computer or import everything into Lightroom first. You don't want to accidentally format your card and have images on there that you haven't backed up yet. This is why it also makes sense to have a couple of extra cards on hand. So that way, if you haven't had a chance to back up those cards, or you're not ready to format those cards yet, you have other cards that you could put in your camera and use. The reason that I format cards in the camera as opposed to on my computer, because the camera is going to format a card a specific way and create some folders and everything that the card needs in order to be used in this camera. It formats specifically for a Sony camera. And I recommend doing that over formatting on your computer, because your computer might have other format settings that, while still work on the camera, are not the native format settings that the camera uses. And that could result in issues with images being corrupt, or even your card being inaccessible altogether when you take the card out and try to put it in your computer. So I highly recommend formatting your cards in the camera as opposed to doing that on your computer. But always make sure that you back things up first before coming into that format menu. So if you're relatively new to photography and this specific camera, I talked about a lot of camera settings and features here. What I recommend you do is start out in automatic mode. Start shooting in this mode, getting used to the camera, holding the camera, taking pictures, focusing more on composition, framing up your shot, and getting things aligned so that your image looks good out of the camera. As soon as you start to want to control the depth of field, which is how blurry the background is, then you can go into aperture priority mode. And what aperture priority mode does is it allows you to adjust the aperture, which you do with this dial on the front of the camera. You can see here that I'm adjusting the aperture on the front of the camera, but if I try to adjust the shutter speed, nothing happens. I'm just able to adjust the aperture. So I can go down to, with this lens, an f1.4, which gives me a super shallow depth of field, meaning that everything in the background is going to fall off blurry and give that beautiful look that a lot of people are going for. And it's forcing the camera to use the lens in that way. An f1.4 also is the widest aperture, letting the most light in as well. And of course, I can control the aperture down, letting less light in. There's reasons that you would want to shoot with a smaller aperture, but you can then also learn how to use shutter priority mode, which allows you to change the shutter speed of the camera while letting the camera do the rest of the settings on its own. Shutter priority mode is great when you want to shoot action shots. You have fast moving subjects, you need to adjust the shutter speed. So on the back of the camera, you can see we're at 1/160th right now. If I was shooting some sports, I might go up to 1/500th of a second, so that as I'm trying to follow that subject, I'm able to freeze the action and not get those blurry shots. But in this shutter priority mode, not having to worry about aperture and ISO, the camera is going to figure out the exposure and only give me control over the shutter speed. After you feel comfortable with your aperture, comfortable with your shutter speed, and you want to be able to control both of those together, as well as use ISO, then you can go into manual mode and have control over all three of those, as well as other features of your camera as well. And I teach all of those features and how to use those in the Ditch Auto course, which is free and linked down in the description below. So again, if you want to understand more about this camera, I'm going through all of the settings, all of the menu options in my in-depth course on the Sony a7 IV, so make sure to check out the link to that in the description below. If you found this video useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer those down in the comment section below. But that's going to do it for me today. Thanks for watching and enjoy your camera.